Okay, so we are going to do lunch and learn. Officially, it starts now. The table's a little dirty. We have food over here for the lunch and the learn. We'll see what we'll talk about. I don't even know yet. See what you guys or the guys here want to talk about. Oh yeah. Let's actually title this. That'd be a good idea. Oh yeah.
Any chance of something like this left on the table?
I didn't see.
No, appreciate the videos you made, Mom.
Thank you.
I watch them every week.
Wow, thank you very much. Now I started live streaming. I'm actually just going live right now also.
What do you
It's
do?
a new thing I'm basically learning. I'm being me just on video. And it's just it's good for the workflow. It's good to get more stuff out,
For sure, that's what you gotta do.
It's just available for people. So less people see it because I'm saying it's not like professional content. It could get boring or whatever. But the point is,
I see a lot of people try different things and they give up so fast.
Yeah.
They think that the guy that got 10,000 followers got it overnight.
No, that's not how it works.
These guys worked 10 years for it.
Yeah. I've been making videos for about 8-9 years, I think. Yeah. Shkoyach, thank you. Oh, yo, oh, you did my mom.
My name's Chad.
I know. We're Instagram. Good to see you.
He's good.
Your phone's jammed around right now.
Oh, you know, oh, you did.
You working out yourself?
A little bit. More of a holistic workout. Yeah, nice to see you. Holistic, like I run like everywhere. I always take the stairs.
Oh, so that's
I run like a half marathon. I run like a half marathon here and there when I have some
Oh, you no. Oh, you did my mom. Oh, you no. Oh, you did. You here for lunch and learn?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mostly lunch.
So we'll eat some lunch and we'll learn something. What do you want to learn about?
Usually just think of a main chai, the short.
Oh, the Mayan Chai. Yeah, maybe we should put a tablecloth here, or we could even just clear this and sit here. Might be a good idea to do that way. Ay, 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 ay. Oh, yeah, you do. Oh, yeah, you do, mama. Oh, You're saying it's very small? You can fill it up from the machine. Oh, you know, you know. Oh, you know. Hello, hello, and welcome. I'm just getting started.
I want to say that Western. Okay, we have to check it.
Israel, what a name. Yeah, here, anywhere. Anywhere you'd like. I think these taller chairs are a lot more comfortable in my opinion.
Oh, we're recording.
We're recording me. If that's okay.
Okay, all right, I'll be out.
But it would be awesome if you're in it also. You know, I don't think that the camera's set up anyways in
Yeah,
good enough way.
It's not picking up.
Yeah.
You can hear me though, can't it?
That's good.
It's live somewhere on YouTube?
Yeah, it's live. Facebook, YouTube,
Oh, hey, okay.
Twitch is a new thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's what I always thought. And recently I was speaking to a friend. So I've been like making like media content for many years, and he was saying like you just have to start live streaming. You know, usually I spend a lot of hours like scripting and figuring out like what to say, and then filming it, and then editing it. He's like, if you live stream, well, one of the things that like convinced me to start doing it. He's like, look, if you live stream, chances are you'll have content already, and then you could clip it together. You want to be in it?
I just want to see how many. Is anyone watching right now?
Well, yeah, there's probably a few people. There's probably maybe 4 people, 5 people. I don't know.
I never watch the live streams really, but I might, because after you finish the live stream on YouTube,
It saves on
yeah,
YouTube.
so you can watch it after. So I kind of, if it's an interesting person, I can skip the boring bits, you know.
Right.
The intro, you know.
Yeah. So I'm not typically so exciting that like my lifestyle is good for live streaming, but you know, it's good to put out more Yiddishkeit in the world. If people will watch other people, you know, play games where they're shooting zombies, like someone, even if there's one person who will join us learning Torah, like that should be available.
Come across it by accident, and who knows what might happen.
Right, exactly.
Especially this week with all the shluchim in town, it's certainly you can see that it's never a bad thing to spread more Yiddishkeit in the world.
Right.
I have 2 brothers who are shluchim and 2 sisters.
What's
who
your
are
last name,
shluchas.
Yisrael?
Goodman. I'm a Goodman.
Goodman. Oh, wow.
From Manchester, England. My brothers are shluchim in LA in Australia. My sisters are shluchas in Florida.
Wait, do you have a brother in
Argentina.
Ache over
Yeah,
here?
yeah,
Oh, wow. Now I can see it.
Last night I was there.
He's such a good guy, your brother. I'm sure you are also.
No, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's going back to Ukraine in a couple of weeks to the winter camp now. He goes to Ukraine twice a year to do the camp here.
That's right.
Yeah. And so my sisters are shluchas in Florida and Argentina. And
What's your sister's last name in Florida? I'm from
Spielman.
Miami.
They moved a couple of years back only.
Where in Florida are they?
They're in Cooper City now, working on my
beautiful.
uncle Adi is a shluch in Cooper City, and they're working.
What's Adi's
like
last name?
hunting.
Andrewsy?
No. He used to work for Andrews. He has his own thing now. Same last name as me.
Beautiful.
It's a good one. And he's only coming on Sunday for some reason, but yeah, they're on.
Okay, well, you'll see some family, some shluchim.
Yeah.
So there's, I don't know, do you have any specific like topic that speaks to you or something that interests you?
No, and that's kind of the problem. I never really had such a cheshek in learning. I never really understood it. People, so many times you got to learn the sikha with me. It's a geschmack sikha. I'm like, I don't really have geschmack in it.
Right.
They're like, no, but this one is
right. The geschmack to who?
yeah,
you know,
it's
like nice.
But this one is different. I'm saying it's geschmack, and I've tried it. And it's like I just don't really. I don't hate it. I just don't get the geschmack in it. I don't know if you can instill a cheshek in someone in learning in someone who's just not.
I mean,
wired that way, or whatever it is. Can any Jewish person be like educated or programmed to have a cheshek learning, or is it just not everyone's cup of tea?
It's a good question.
So, you know, but don't worry, I don't hate it. I'm okay to sit and learn for a bit, but it's
right. I think that you could develop a cheshek. Can you give it to someone else? That I don't know, but I think I don't know if using the term like it's a geschmack asicha to influence someone to come learn.
That alone is not gonna.
I feel like it might be counterintuitive because like that almost I feel excluded now because I don't feel like it's geschmack and you're telling me it's geschmack, so it's supposed to be geschmack. So if you tell me come sit and learn because that's what we're supposed to do, in a way that might be better than telling me that it's geschmack.
Exactly, is what it is. Applies in the...
Yeah, if you tell me it's supposed to be geschmack and it feels like it's not, then I feel like I'm doing something wrong, exactly.
If that's the good learning, imagine what the non-geschmack seekers are like,
Right. So, thinking out loud, I think, at least for me, I think it's true to say that a lot of the geschmack... Is it hot already, the lasagna?
It seems to be pretty hot.
Oh.
You want one too?
And not if I can't eat and talk at the same time, so I'll have one after. Thank you. It's like pizza. That's what it is. That's lasagna.
Pizza?
It looks like there's dough on the bottom.
More like that. Hey, thanks.
Interesting. Nice.
Told
So yeah, mitzi or mezainis. So yeah, the week's parsha is Taldes. So I guess you're interested a little bit in the parsha. I just started learning yesterday from like the last official, well, one of the last official like speeches that the Rebbe gave on Parshas Taldes. The Rebbe starts saying how the beginning of this week's parsha and the beginning of Parshas Noach starts in the same way, right? Eila Taldes. By Noach it says Eila Taldes Noach. Noach is tzaddik, right, etc. And over here it says Eila Taldes Yitzchak, and then it tells us who is Yitzchak, right? Yitzchak ben Avraham.
Yeah.
Right? Eila Taldes Yitzchak ben Avraham. Avraham Heladas Yitzchak. That's the first pasuk. So Eila Taldes Noach or Ve'eila Taldes. The point is it starts with the same way. And so first of all, this is the Rebbe is saying this under the premise that we already all understand and believe that the name of each parsha has significance, right? It contains a tremendous significance to it. Although simply you can just say, oh yeah, the name of every parsha is like the first, the first few words. They choose one and they made it the name, But it was done by Minhag Yisrael, which is Torah, and everything in Torah. This is a super important thing to understand. To think about when learning and to understand and appreciate and maybe have a geschmack in anything that the Rebbe says, you have to already look at it in the same way that the Rebbe is looking at it, that Torah means it's eternally relevant. It means that there's something in Torah, in any detail of Torah and in every detail of Torah that teaches me something, not just in general, but right now. So it's not just a teaching, it's a teaching that's relevant, and it's not just relevant to anyone, it's relevant to me, and it's not just relevant to me in certain times, but it's relevant to me now. That's every part of Torah, right? That's why the Rebbe always quoted, Torah is milashon Torah. Torah is the same word as a lesson, right? It's not just a teaching or a lesson that I'm learning, but it's a lesson that I'm taking into life, and that I need to take into life. So the Rebbe says, obviously the name of the parsha contains a significant lesson. But then from there, the Rebbe then goes on and asks, by the way, and just a spoiler alert, I don't know, I didn't finish the sikha with my friend, so even if I'll succeed in getting you curious as to the answer, I only learned the beginning of the answer. But the Rebbe says, it seems like from the content of the parsha that it would have been more fitting.
I mean, that's the opposite of a spoiler alert. The time you couldn't tell me the ending even if you wanted to. But no, go
right,
on. So,
that's true. Spoiler alert of the ending of how I'm going to shut up is with me not
Spoiler
resolving
alert,
whatever I'm about to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was saying
So the Rebbe says that Noach, the parsha which is called Noach, the second parsha of the Torah, would have made more sense to call it Eila Toldos. So it would have made sense to call that parsha Toldos.
Yeah.
And this parsha would have made more sense to call Yitzchak.
Right.
Why? Wait, what you're saying right. So why?
Well, Noach the parsha is not really about the Torah of Noach. It's not at the beginning, but it's very much about Noach. And also, the Toldos of Yitzchak are much more...
Oh, you're already telling me part of the answer. You're telling me why it makes sense the way that it is.
No, just something that comes to mind.
That's right.
I don't know if this is how the Sikh is going to go, but the
You're 100%
Toldos
right.
of Yitzchak are much more praiseworthy.
Right. The
Toldos
Toldos of Yitzchak are discussed in this parsha,
Right.
and the Toldos of Noach are not really discussed, right? Although the first thing that the Rebbe said is that the subject matter of Parshas Noach is not so much about Noach, it's more about the Mabul, right? And the subject matter of Parshas Toldos is very much about Yitzchak. So it would have made more sense to emphasize the concept of Toldos, in other words, the result of Noach's life, right? Noach being who he was. He saved his family, right? Was saved by Hashem from the Mabul.
Yeah.
You hearing that beeping?
No, I'm thinking off into the distance. I'm not focused on anything, no. I didn't hear the beeping, but now that you mention it, I'm only going to hear the beeping. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry about that then.
Now I hear it too.
It's like a high frequency, but not high enough that it should be excluded.
I didn't hear it until you mentioned it.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, that's the beginning of the answer. And okay, whatever. Just because we were talking about that, I figured we'll mention that. But to have a full thing, so we're at least able to walk away with a lesson, I think. So either I'll give you guys options. Either we could do today's portion of Chumash, which is short, and then it's actually not so short, but it won't take us longer than 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes if we discuss it. And the value of that is that, of course, we know the Rebbe wants us to learn every day's portion of Chumash. So simply by sitting and learning that, we'll be connecting in a very deep way and opening ourselves up for tremendous brachos. Or we could discuss, like I could share with you a sikha that I find fascinating, or we could do both. You know. Today, what happens in Chumash is a little bit dramatic. Basically, this is the story where Yitzchak, who at this point had gone blind, right, tells his son Esav, who he favored. Right, we know that Yitzchak loved Esav more than Yaakov.
Yeah,
it says in the parsha
about if he knew what was really going on.
Right. How to understand his blindness.
On some level, he knew, but on
he seems clueless.
He knew, but
yeah. I mean, if you want to go into that, we could go into that also.
No, it's just let's keep the flow.
So in today's Chumash, I'm saying the simple story goes that he went ahead and asked Esav to go fetch him some game. In other words, he was a hunter. Go get me, something nice to eat, and then I'll be able to give you a bracha. Which, by the way, that itself is already interesting. Like, why do you need me to feed you in order to be able to give you a bracha?
And also the question people have is, how can you eat food that was hunted rather than shchita? I take the more rational approach personally and say they kept some of the Torah, but not everything, and he ate hunted food. But some people try to really get the way around to, like, Esav was so good at hunting he could take a chalaf and it would just shecht it. But I'm a little skeptical about that.
So, I mean, that's a very good question that you're asking. I don't think I ever even came up with that question, possibly because I'm always, I learn it every year inside, and the words of the pasuk are, Ba'ata now, sana, this is what he's asking him, sana cheilacha, which means, the way it translates it here is sharpen your weapons, tel yecha v'kashtecha, your sword and your bow, v'tzei asada, go out to the field, v'tzuda litzayid, and trap for me game. He's not saying to kill it, he's saying trap it.
Interesting.
And then to make it. In other words, of course he's asking him, slaughter it properly in accordance with halacha. He doesn't tell him, like, kill it for me, he says trap it for me. Trap it and turn it into matamin.
Interesting.
Right, and the Rebbe actually, this Chumash, I like this Chumash a lot, the Kahas Chumash, because they interpolate in the translation. You see the letters in bold. That's the literal translation of the pasuk.
Yeah.
And then the rest is a collection of the explanation of the pasuk with Rashi plus what the Rebbe says on it to clarify matters even further. And what it adds here is, be sure to trap only an ownerless deer, a hefker one, right? So that you don't serve me something that's stolen, and to sharpen the slaughtering knife so that you slaughter the animal in accordance with the Torah's law. That's why he's telling him sharpen it. Right? If Esav's a hunter, you don't need the elderly man in bed to call our Yitzchak Avinu that. Just for perspective, to tell the hunter what to do in order to hunt, of course. But he's telling him sharpen it because he's saying sharpen it according to halacha, that there shouldn't be any nicks or anything like that. But the point is, he was asking him specifically to serve him something in Gashmias, because as we know, and this was also spoken about in last week's Parsha, it takes some physical thing in order to draw down the highest light, in order to draw down God's light, right? In today's Tanya and in yesterday's Tanya, it speaks about how the physical act of a mitzvah is like the button that we push in order to cause a supernal union, as the Kabbalists call it, but as it's translated into English. And then when that happens, there's more light that is drawn into the world, right? And into the world means into your personal life. And into your personal life is good for the people around you, and basically into the world, right? And when you're using something physically, you're revealing that physical thing and all of physicality is really God's. So that's why he's asking him for food in order to bless him. And you know how the story goes, right? And then Yaakov goes ahead. It looks like you're in a rush, so I don't want to keep you against your will.
No, massive. Well, it's just that my sister from out of town with her husband and kids are in Kingston
beautiful.
Pizza, and I want to go see them.
Oh,
but I've got they'll probably stay there a while.
Now you got a pizza appetizer before more pizza.
No, I don't plan on eating there. We actually had a lot of Kingston pizza here last night. Every Wednesday night, there's tons of pies and lasagna. I'll go to Zach and the ziti, the falafel, stuffed. And then I went on to L'chaim.
Wow, you were eating a lot last night, huh?
Was it? Yeah.
We gotta eat food. Look, we gotta be involved in Gashmis and in the right way.
I know. It's always just gone straight through me very quick.
Oh, yeah, I got I gained a lot of weight since I got here.
I also go to the gym.
Oh, okay, well.
Before you go, I'll tell you something beautiful and short about Yitzchak's blindness. Right? So like you mentioned that there's different opinions as to what that means, like how clueless was he about what Esav was up to, and and what does it mean that he was blind?
Yeah.
So it actually is explained that he became blind, Rashi says, he became blind from the smoke of the offerings of Esav's wives that they were offering to Avodah Zarah.
Yeah.
Right? But the question then becomes, you have a question on that? Because this is a question that you can think of if you're really thinking about it.
And not the smoke from... Why was he hanging around them? I don't know. Why?
Well, that's a good question. But they were in
also-
his home because Esav
Yeah,
brought
so
these
one
women into his vicinity. But the question is, how come nobody else was affected by it? Right? So maybe if you want to blend the Mefarshim, you can say, well, together with the angel's tears, plus, right, from the Akedah, plus the smoke, etc. There's a few things that you can say. But the Rebbe says that basically, Yitzchak, being a tzaddik, wanted to only see good. So the smoke of the Avodah Zarah caused that he shouldn't be able to see the wrong that Esav was doing.
Yeah.
Which also fits beautifully with the fact, like, any father or mother, in a way, is blinded to the faults of their child.
Yeah.
Right? Because they see their child as like an extension of themselves. But over here in this case, Yitzchak, because of the smoke, because Esav's wives were doing Avodah Zarah, Yitzchak couldn't tolerate to see something of Avodah Zarah, so therefore he went blind. Right? We know that our forefathers were a Merkava. They were a divine chariot, it's called, right? Just like your car hopefully doesn't have a mind of its own, but you're in full control of it.
Unless you have a Tesla.
Right? Its job is to drive you where you need to get. So the Aves were in 24/7 in the mode of full expression of godliness, of divinity, like exactly what we do when we're doing a mitzvah, right? Exactly what we're doing right now. Right now we're an expression of godliness. We're really expressing who we really are. Neshama sitting and learning inside of a base medrash, inside of a base knesses. But for the Aves, this was a non-stop thing. So that's why they get to be called this Merkava, right? And that's what we know.
Especially
about them.
that one.
Especially
Yitzchak. It's known that his whole thing was he was the most the separate from the world, and he never after so
Gevura,
I think he had the least amount of shaykhs to the physical world thing. That's why they compare Avinu to the Baal Shem Tov and Yitzchak to the Mezritcha Maggid, who stayed
Very
in one
knowledgeable,
place
I
and
see.
everyone came to him.
That's right.
Therefore, he couldn't. The smoke would have made him blind, whereas as maybe other
Right.
ones
Right.
would affect different.
Although
ways.
an interesting thing that I actually just realized this year when I was learning it, when Hashem tells Yitzchak, don't go out of Eretz Yisrael, don't go out of Eretz Canaan, right?
Yeah.
Because he was a carbon, right, so to speak. He was brought to Hashem. He wasn't shechted, but he was offered to Hashem. So I think the lashon is a oila tamima. He's a perfect, unblemished offering to Hashem. So Hashem says, stay in this holy land. That's where you should stay. It says over there, not that he can't tolerate leaving the holy land, which is how I always thought it was, but it's that the outside of the holy land, the land doesn't deserve to have Yitzchak in it, basically, is what it says. The land can't tolerate Yitzchak, which is a very interesting thing. So yeah, on the one hand, you see over here that because of Yitzchak's aversion to Avodah Zarah, of course, all the Aves had it, but by Yitzchak, he was much less involved. He was much more sanctified.
Avraham Avinu was quite involved with
Avraham Avinu dealt with it. Avraham Avinu went and found people who their whole life was about Avodah Zarah. Their whole life was given to forces of impurity and whatever nonsense that they made up or that had some legitimacy, but they were ascribing, they were deifying it. And Avraham was going and convincing them out of it. But Yitzchak, we don't see that so much. We don't see that he's traveling and doing that. But we do see that he was even more accomplished than Avraham. And that his accomplishments were more everlasting. In that when Avraham dug certain wells, later they were clogged up. And until Yitzchak unclogged them, and Yitzchak later unclogged them, and Yitzchak later dug wells of his own, and those wells were not clogged up. Why? And the Rebbe explains the difference. That Avraham, being the level of chesed, right? You can, for this context, I would translate chesed as inspiration and motivation. Like he was working, he was bringing the chesed, he was bringing the mayim to places that don't have it, right? Like he was being meifetz mayones, right? Like you're saying, he's out on shluchus, and he's bringing it elsewhere. But the problem with that is that it could dry up because it needs the source. Yitzchak, what he did a step further than his father, with gevura, with discipline, was not run on inspiration, but dig out the well, find the wellspring, the source beneath. Of course, that's as an outcome of being the son of Abraham, So, but
Then afterwards, Yaakov had the balance.
Tiferes, precisely. Asher Koyach, okay. Don't forget to make a bracha achrayna. Oh, on camera, Baruch Hashem. This is awesome. Good.
Is it live?
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's on Facebook?
People watch.
Facebook, YouTube. I need to figure out a way to get it on Instagram. I don't think it goes
How many people are
automatically.
watching right now?
I don't know. On Instagram.
You don't know?
No, I know there is a way to live stream on Instagram, but like right now I'm using a program that sends it to Facebook and YouTube and Twitch.
It doesn't do Instagram?
I don't know. I need to see. It's a new thing. I just made Twitch.
Live stream to Instagram simultaneously.
Please, if you have Twitch, follow and.
I don't, but it's pretty progressive for.
This is a UTC clock.
Wow, that's a beautiful
what's
one.
Yeah, I'm in watches, so
Oh, my brother
Oh, really?
was in Kingston Pizza and I used to watch.
Oh, yeah?
Wow, this is so nice that you have the little one here.
No,
What
yeah,
does
yeah.
it do?
What's
It's
UTC
another
again?
clock. It's
Oh, they're just showing the same time?
what does it stand for? United, Universal. I don't know. It's basically the C before the T, like Universal Clock Time or something like that. Basically, it's for pilots to be able to set their clock against this, or to have two, whatever. For me, simply, it's just to have two different time zones.
So what do you have?
But all
Like
time
Israel
zones
time
are
zone?
measured
Or what?
against England. GMT,
That's-
Greenwich Mean Time, is London. It's actually a small
GMT,
station.
you're saying.
Yeah.
Right.
And every time zone is GMT plus or minus however much.
Right. Yeah.
So that's kind of what England has got going on for it. All the time zones are measured against.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, some of my
London.
favorite watches are the world timers. The ones that really will show you.
Yeah, so my brother-in-law here is, if you have Instagram, I'll show you the watch.
Maybe I'm in touch with him. Maybe I know him.
Drizzen, he's called Drizzen AMD watches is his thing.
Could be that we're
It's
connected. I don't know him by name.
You can get them for you for a price. Hey.
Wait, so what do you have here?
AMD on Instagram, that's the watch dealer account called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got what? You got Israel time and
So my
New York
company is
time?
called High End 7. No, I actually.
Okay.
So this is an automatic watch. This runs on battery.
Okay.
So I actually need a new battery. I'm going to replace this quartz battery. But usually I kept it to Israel. Yeah. Be in Mashiach mode in another step.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Baruch Hashem.
I became pretty good with time zones. I always go like.
Well, you were
okay,
traveling
this
a
is
lot.
like- Yeah.
So. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to keep learning out loud. You're welcome to sit and listen. I'm going to do today's Chumash. Okay. Thank you, Frima. So,
Danke sehr.
we ended off yesterday with Avimelech, with his, his group of people coming and asking Yitzchak to basically also make an oath with them, just like Avram did, that they'll only treat each other with kindness. So now, continuing off right in the middle of that dialogue between them. Isaac agreed to their proposal. He prepared them a feast and they ate and drank. In the words of the Torah, Vayas lohem mishteh vayechlu vayishtu. Now they got up early in the morning and made an oath to each other. Isaac then sent them on their way and they departed from him in peace. Vayas lohem mishteh vayechlu. Oh, I read that. Vayashkimu baveiker vayishavu ish la'achiv vayishalachim Yitzchak vayelchu meitei b'shalim. See if there's any Rashis we got to learn. No, not just yet. Vayehi bayayim hahu. Vayavayu avdei Yitzchak vayagidu lai al edes habe'er asher chafaru. Vayemru lai matzanu mayim. Oh, this is what we were just talking about. Some more incidents with these wells. On that very day, Isaac's servants came and told him about the well that they had dug, and they said to him, "We have found water." Also, an interesting thing is that it says that they were jealous of Yitzchak because of his great wealth, and avuda rabba is the word in the Torah. And Rashi explains that avoda means one work, avuda means like many different things. In other words, he had many enterprises going on, Yitzchak.
Yeah.
And what you see is that him being settled in one place, and I guess his mode as a person was one of more of being settled, that allowed for him to be involved in so many different things, versus sometimes, it was a thought that a friend and I were talking about. Sometimes we could try to get ourselves involved in so many things and run so many operations, but then we're very scattered within, so it's hard to keep them up. So Yitzchak, being more settled, was capable of of having many things going on. One of them was well digging. Isaac's servants came and told him about the well that they had dug, and they said to him, "We have found water."
Right, who's water resistant?
These boots are supposed to be,
So he named the well Shiva, from the word Shavua, which means an oath. The name of the city was therefore not changed, but it was redesignated again as Be'er Shava, well of the oath. And this remains the same to this very day. So yeah, same place of that Avram named by the Akedah.
Do you know what Trio Passer is? It's a great game. People play it online. Sorry to disturb, but it's to do with this. You go on the website. They drop you in a random place on the globe. You can only use the street view thing to go around the streets.
Oh, that's so cool.
You've got 2 minutes to figure out where you are in the world, and you put a pin on the map where you think you are.
Wow.
And it tells you how close you were to the correct answer. So yesterday,
I would do that on Twitch.
Yeah.
That's
great.
cool. Do people play that on Twitch?
People, they do it live quite a bit. Yeah.
That's so fun.
So yesterday,
I feel like I'd be so bad at that game, but that would still be fun.
You have to know how to look for clues, the side of the street, the cars are on, how good they are, the kind of terrain. You normally get what...
Can you see street signs?
Continent you're on. The signs, but the license plate you can't, and other things. So
very
yesterday
neat.
I was playing it. I play it every day, 3 times. You can play 3 times a day for nothing, and unless you pay, you can get more. But I have 3 times a day. They put me some on the globe. I figure out where it is. So yesterday, out of all the places in the world, on this week's Pasha, they put me in Be'er.
No way.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah. Be'er Sheva was great. Yeah.
What did it look
Be'er
like?
Sheva.
Just like Israel?
I didn't actually. I knew I was somewhere in Israel. I didn't get Be'er Sheva right. I guess Netanya or something, but it's cool. Out of everywhere on the planet.
That's awesome.
Got me in Be'er Sheva. Normally it's
in Parshas Toldos.
South America, yeah.
Wow.
Ireland.
It's good stuff.
Again, it's quite.
You said your first name is Yisrael.
Yes.
Good man. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you. What's your name?
Ellie Weiss.
From where?
Ellie Tzvi Weiss from Miami.
Miami.
I live here now.
Yeah, I've been quite a bit. Yeah,
in Miami.
Some boat tours there. Met some manatees in the canal. That was nice. Yeah, my sister.
You ride a
lives
bike?
not so far away. One day, I dress like
You dress like you ride a bike,
but,
yeah.
It's a goal, it's happening.
Oh, you're saying you want to, but you know how to ride a bike and you want to buy one.
Yeah.
All right, very soon then.
Thank you.
Kol tov.
See you around.
Happy Thanksgiving. Okay, so we have some Rashis. Shiva, he called the well Shiva, al Shem Habris, right? Because their covenant consisted of an oath that they took. And now, moving forward, Vayehi Esav ben Arboim Shana. Vayikach Isha es Yehudas bas Be'eri Achiti bas Elein Achiti. If you recall, the beginning of this parsha, we review the fact that Yitzchak got married to Rivka, and we're told that Yitzchak was 40 years old. Now Esav turns 40 years old and gets married. In the year 2148, when Esav was 40 years old, he married Yehudis, the daughter of Be'eri the Chiti, and Basmas, the daughter of Elon the Chiti. So these two women. Ben Arbaim Shana, says Rashi, was 40 years old. Esav haya nimshal lachazir. Wow. Esav was compared to a pig, a swine. Shanemar yecharsmena chazir miyar, as it says in the pasuk in Tehillim, I believe that is. Yecharsmena chazir miyar. Yeah, Tehillim. I don't know what that's. Something yecharsmena. I don't know. I don't want to risk translating it inaccurately. But something about the chazir from the forest, or from the, maybe it also means like the next river, like, which makes sense because it's muddy. The pig, when he's laying down, paishet talafav, by the way, this is why there are many non-kosher animals, but this is the reason why in Jewish culture and in popular culture that knows anything about Judaism, there is a specific emphasis on the pig being like really not kosher. Like, we really don't like the pig, even though we also don't eat shark, but you find pig being like the quintessential not kosher food. That's like the big deal. How come? Because there's the character of pig, that it is the singular animal that has this characteristic physically, and then what that means also, like spiritually, or even what it means spiritually speaking. I'll call it matter of the spirit. What about it? The pig, when he is laying down, peisha talafav, it sticks out its hoofs. Loimar, or hooves, might be how you say that word. I don't know. The hoof, its feet. Loimar re'u shani tahar. Look, I am pure. I'm a pure animal. I'm a kosher animal. Because it has split hooves, as a kosher animal must. But we know that it's not a kosher animal, because kosher animal must have two signs. One is that it has split hooves, and the other is that, yes, oh, thank you, whoever that is. I can't see the name on YouTube, but thank you for being here, and I'm assuming you're subscribed, and thank you for translating from Tehillim and bringing us the source. Yeah, Tehillim, that's Pei Yud Daled. So it's the 14th verse in the 80th chapter of Tehillim, and the translation of Yecharsmena Chazir Miyar is the pig from the ravages of Israel. Very interesting, cool translation. Thank you for that. Let us know also maybe where you got that translation from. Unless that's the way you translate it, which is fine also. That's cool. So Esav's compared to a pig. Why? We're about to see. But first, about the pig. The pig shows its feet. It shows its hoofs. And that was a third way of pronouncing the word hooves, or hoofs, or hoofs. I don't know. And they are indeed split, but it doesn't have the second sign for a kosher animal, which is that it chews its cud. That's an internal one. That one, it's not showing. It's only showing something externally saying, look, I'm pure, but really what's going on the inside is not pure, right? So, kach elu gais lemachemsim. So too, people who are like robbers and I don't have the translation of Rashi here, so I'm doing my best to just explain it in general. Umana oisam, people who are basically fakers and tricksters. Umaram atzmam ksherim, and they show as if that they're kosher and honest and good. Kol arbaim shana. So this is what Esav did. Esav resembled a pig in this way. Kol arbaim shana. For 40 years, Esav was extremely immoral. He was basically trapping. We know that he was a hunter, right? But he wasn't only trapping animals. He was trapping women. He was hunting down any woman that he wanted and stealing her from her husband, married women, and just taking them, just like a wild animal. And when he turns 40, Amar, he says, Abba ben Arbaim Shana Nasa Isha. My father at 40 years old, as we learned at the beginning of the parsha, got married at 40 years old. Afani Cain. So I'm also going to do that. So basically, he's trying to show that he's this, righteous man who takes marriage seriously and takes life seriously, when that really wasn't the case. And that also explains to you what we just learned about why pig is like the quintessential not kosher food, because this characteristic is a terrible one for the people who might be associates with the people who have this character, and also, of course, and mainly for the person themselves who might be living a life where they're totally fooling themselves, where they're trying to be something on the outside when they're really not that on the inside. Well, the truth is that's not so much fooling themselves, that's more trying to fool others. That's what really the idea here. Fooling themselves is another thing. Lamed Hey, moving onwards. Vayehi, we just read that. Now these women, even though Esau was trying to show how great he was by getting married to them, these women, these wives, were spiritually rebellious toward Isaac and Rebekah and caused them great anguish. For among other things, they unabashedly served idols. And as we'll find out soon, that the smoke from the offerings that these two wives of Esau would bring to idols damaged Yitzchak's eyesight. And that's what we're about to learn, starting the next chapter, 27. But before that, Rashi's comment on Meir Asruach, that they caused them a lot of distress or they were of a rebellious spirit to Yitzchak and Rivka. L'shain hamra Asruach. All of what they did caused, it seems even here that you can translate it, was to cause Yitzchak and Rivka tremendous pain. The Yitzchak and Rivka, why? Because they served Avodah Zarah. Now, starting chapter 27. Vayehi ki zakin Yitzchak v'tichena inav meir eis vayikras Esav b'nai agadol vayemer elav b'ni vayemer elav hineni. 23 years after Esav married, in the year 2171, Yitzchak had grown old. Despite the fact that he was blessed by God with good health and longevity, the smoke from Esav's wives' idolatrous incense offerings gradually dimmed his eyesight. In addition, his eyesight had already become dim then because of the ministering angel's tears that had fallen into his eyes when he was bound on the altar 86 years prior to this. If you remember, or as you surely know, might know, or maybe don't, because I don't know everybody who's here, but the incident known as the Akedah, right, the binding of Isaac, when Hashem tested Avram with offering his son to him. And this was a very moving and powerful sight, that even though, of course, he was not to actually be sacrificed to Hashem, the very fact that Avram was willing to follow Hashem's orders unquestioningly, and that Yitzchak as well, knowing very well what was happening, was willing to go through with it, caused the angels to cry, and those tears went in Yitzchak's eyes, and that already affected him. All this was arranged by divine providence so that he would be deceived into blessing Jacob rather than Esav, as will now be recounted. Right? So, of course, the fact that his eyesight was going was, like everything is, divine providence. Very attentive, detailed from Hashem. Hashem made this very attentively. He summoned his elder son Esav and said to him, "My son," and he answered, "Here I am." Just because we mentioned Hashgacha Pratis, which is Hashem's attention to detail in all of creation, which is constant divine providence, I just want to read to you from Hayom Yom. I think it's today's Hayom Yom. No, it's not today's Hayom Yom. Tomorrow's Hayom Yom mentions Hashgacha Pratis, and also 2 days ago. I'll read you 2 days ago. So it says that supernal providence brings every Jew to his dwelling place in order to strengthen the practice of Judaism and disseminate the study of Torah. And when one plows and sows, things grow. So, for example, this is a very good example, very easy example. If you are landing on this video and you're Jewish, it's very clear why you're here. and please stick around. And if you're landing on this video and you're not Jewish, don't think that you're excluded from this just because it says a Jew. This is a book mainly for Jewish people. It is of Jewish teachings, but God's divine providence extends to every detail of the world at all times. And of course, the human being is at the top of the food chain, so to speak, and everything about your life, regardless of whether or not you're Jewish, is ordained by divine providence so as to facilitate you fulfilling your mission in life. And of course, for a Jew, the Jewish mission in life is to do the mitzvahs, to study the Torah, and that's mainly what we do on this channel. So, but everyone is welcome. Everyone's very, very welcome. Now, further on. So he calls his elder son Esav, who we know he actually loved more, and says to him, my son, and he answered him, here I am. Vatichena, Rashi says that his eyesight became dimmed, and we already explained why, so I'll just read the Rashi inside very quickly. He points out that it was from the smoke of Esav's wives. Another opinion, or a further explanation, is usually the way that the Rebbe preferred to see these things. All of the opinions are true, and they all can be combined. Just like Right, a further explanation is from what occurred with the angels by the Akedah, and a further explanation is that his eyesight dimmed so that he would end up doing what we're about to find out, which is giving Yaakov the brachis, even though his intention was to bless Esav at first. Isaac said, see, now I have grown old. I am now 123 years old. I do not know the day of my death. Says Rashi, I don't know the day of my death. He brings the opinion from the Talmud. Actually, he brings a statement from Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha. Imagia Adam leperek aveisav yidag chamesh shanim lefnein v'chamesh la'achar kein v'yitzchak haya ben 123 amar shama leperek imi ani magia v'hi meisa bas 127 v'arini ben chamesh shanim samach leperek lefichach lo yidati yemeisi shama leperek imi shama leperek abba. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha says an interesting thing, that when a person reaches the age of, like he's getting close to the age that his parents were when they passed, he should begin to, first word that comes to mind to translate yidag is worry, but I don't know if that's really what he's saying. But the point is, he should concern himself with the fact that his time might be coming soon, 5 years before and 5 years after. So of course, if a person reaches the age that his parents passed, he still, for another 5 years, is concerned that basically over this period of 10 years, it makes sense that would be the time that he passes as well. And Yitzchak was now 123, and as we said, and he said, maybe I'm going to pass in accordance with this ruling, which of course was taught many, many, many years later, but as we know, our forefathers studied Torah and kept the Torah already from before. And he's saying, in accordance with this, I don't know the day of my death, meaning I don't know if it's going to correspond to my mother's age or my father's age. And now I'm 123. That's 5 years from my mother's age. Third verse in chapter 27. Ve'ata sa'ana chei tel yecha v'kashtecha b'tzei asada v'tzudo litzayid v'asili. Oh, that's already the next one. So therefore now please sharpen your weapons, your sword and the arrows for your bow. Go out to the field and trap me some ownerless game. Be sure to trap only an ownerless deer so that you do not serve me something stolen, and to sharpen the slaughtering knife so that you slaughter the animal in accordance with the Torah's laws. Just before he was asking, right? And we mentioned this. Vasili matamim kasher ahavti v'havia li v'yichila bavar tevarecha nafshi b'terem amos. And then prepare for me some delicacies to my liking, and bring them to me so that I may eat, so that I may grant you my soul's blessing before I die. Oh, wow. Time really passed quickly. I was going to go to Mincha at 2 o'clock. It's almost 2:30. Okay, let's do this quick. From up here, I apologize that I'm not home yet. Okay. Right? He was, of course, telling Esav that you should go and fetch me some game and then shecht it properly. Fine. Cue the drama music, because Yitzchak gives this instruction to Esav, and his wife Rivka had been listening while Isaac was speaking to his son Esav. And Esav went out to the field intending to trap some ownerless game, as his father had stipulated, because he doesn't want to be served something stolen, but was also nevertheless prepared to bring home stolen game if no ownerless deer can be found. So now, when Esav left, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, I just heard your father speaking to your brother Esav, saying, bring me some game and prepare me delicacies so that I may eat and bless you in God's presence and with his approval before I die. So now, my son, heed my words in regard to what I command you. Your father provided in our marriage contract that I may take 2 kid goats from the flock every day if need be. Therefore, go to the flock and bring me from there 2 choice kid goats, since today is the 14th of Nisan. That's the day before Passover, and that's when we bring the Passover offering. And I will make delicacies out of the other one of them. So, okay, since today is the 14th of Nisan, we will use one for the Passover offering, and I will make delicacies out of the other one of them, such as your father likes. For the meat of a kid goat can be made to taste like deer meat. So even though Yitzchak asked Esav to trap deer and make it as I like, Rivka says, I know how to prepare it as he likes, even if it's not deer. You will then bring them to your father, and he will eat, so that he will bless you before he dies. Yaakov said to his mother Rivka, right? As we know, Yaakov was not one who the Torah describes as a hunter, which Rashi explains, Esav being a hunter, that he would trap his father with his words. He would pretend to be something that he wasn't, similar to what we just learned about the pig. Yaakov was a ishtam. Yaakov was a sincere, honest person. This was not in his, he's not looking to be an actor. He's not looking to be an imposter. He's not looking to pretend to be someone he's not. And here, his mother is asking him, go in and basically pretend to be Esav and get those brachis. So Yaakov said to his mother Rivka, thinking obviously he's gonna do as his mother says, but he has a different issue. Yaakov says to his mother Rivka, but my brother Esav is a hairy man, while I'm a smooth-skinned man. Perhaps my father will touch me, and then he will regard me as an impostor, and will bring a curse upon myself, not a blessing. In other words, he's gonna know. His mother said to him, let your curse be upon me, my son. Just heed my words and go and bring them to me. Now, just really quickly, what kind of motivation is that? Yaakov, being who he is, how could he be fine with his mother taking the curse? Like, okay, he's worried that his father's going to find out that he's tricking him, and instead of the blessing, this whole plan is going to backfire and he's going to curse me. And Rivka's like, okay, no problem, so I'll take the curse on me. And then as we're about to find out, he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and his mother prepared delicacies to his father's liking. In other words, the conversation ended there. He was like, okay, I'm convinced, I'll go do it. When his mother takes responsibility, that she says, the curse will be on me. Why would he want the curse to go on his mother? You would think that he would still say, like, no, absolutely not. I don't want the curse on me. I don't want the curse on you. And the answer is, in short, that because she was willing to receive this curse, he knew that this is a matter of life and death. He knew that this is something that Rivka is willing to be cursed my mother's willing to really go this far in order for this to happen, it's something that I need to do. I need to listen to her and get this done. That's why the conversation ended right there. So he didn't think anymore that the curse would actually be on his mother. But when he saw her willingness, that's when he knew, okay, this is something that's very serious, and we're gonna be successful. So Rivka then took her older son Esav's clean clothes, which had belonged to Nimrod. Esav was jealous of them. He coveted them, if that's how you say that word. I think covet is the pronunciation. And he killed Nimrod to acquire them. So if you're ever wondering who killed Nimrod, it was Esav. These clothes were with her in the house because Esav did not trust his wives. To prevent his wives from stealing them, he kept them at his mother's house. She put them on her younger son Yaakov and placed the kid goat skins on his arm and on the smooth part of his neck. She then handed to her son Yaakov the delicacies and the bread she had prepared. He came to his father and said, "Father," and he replied, "Here I am. Who are you, my son?" Yaakov answered his father in an interesting way. He said, "It is I, Esav, your firstborn." He didn't really want to lie, and of course this is still considered, halachically speaking, when you're saying something to get someone to think something when that's really not what you mean, but you know what they think, that's still considered a lie. But he was doing his best to still, even in the situation that he was in where he needed to go and pretend and trick, he was doing his best to be as honest as possible. So he was saying, "It is I," in other words, it's who I am, Yaakov, and Esav is your firstborn. But of course, simply, it's I, Esav, your firstborn. Since the verb to be is not articulated in Hebrew, Yaakov's answer had two meanings. I am Esav, your firstborn, and it is I, Esav is your firstborn. Jacob intended his father to understand his words according to the first meaning, but in order to not technically be guilty of lying, he phrased his reply so that it could be understood the second way, because in Hebrew it really makes sense either way. Continuing to pose as Esav, Yaakov said, "I have done as you told me." Yaakov intended his father to understand this statement to mean that he had fulfilled Yitzchak's instruction to Esav to prepare him a meal in order to not be technically guilty of lying. Yaakov phrased the statement so that it could be understood, "I have done many things that you have told me to do." He continued, "Please arise and be seated at the table and partake of my game so that you may grant me your soul's blessing." Maybe if I should start playing that game on Twitch, I should ask people to partake of my game. Isaac asked his son, "How did you find it so quickly, my son?" He replied, "Because God, your God, arranged it to happen this way for me." That was obviously not an error, but it's this way of speaking about God, of like recognizing that it was God who hooked him up, was already a red flag to Yitzchak. As we'll see, Yitzchak's already suspicious that it's not his son Esav, because Esav did not speak that way. Isaac asked his son, Isaac said to himself, "This seems out of character for Esav. He never mentions God, nor does he usually address me so politely." Even though Esav did respect his father, he was still more of a ruffian, and the way that he spoke was not in the most ever respectful manner. He therefore said to Jacob, "Please come close and let me touch you, my son. Are you really my son Esav?" So Yaakov drew close to his father Yitzchak, who touched him and said, the manner of speaking is the voice of Yaakov, but the hands are the hands of Esav. He did not recognize them because his arms were hairy, like the arms of his brother Esav. So he proceeded to prepare to bless him. He said, "So you really are my son Esav?" And he replied, "I am." Again, saying, "I am who I am," but intending that he understands, yes, I'm Esav. Then Yitzchak said, "Serve me so that I may partake of my son's game, so that I may grant you my soul's blessing." Yaakov served him, and he ate, and he brought him wine, and he drank. See the importance here of, I'm thinking Kais Shal Bracha. I don't know if that's what it was, but the point is that through the physical meal, now Yitzchak is able to channel blessing to pass it to Yaakov. His father Isaac said to him, "Please come close and kiss me, my son." He came close and kissed him, and Yitzchak smelled the fragrance of his garments. Although goatskins, right? Remember, he was wearing those goatskins that belonged to Nimrod, that Esav was jealous of, coveted, and killed Nimrod for, and hid from his wives. And they usually have an unpleasant odor. In this case, they miraculously took on the fragrance of an apple orchard, like the Garden of Eden. Yitzchak blessed him with 10 blessings as follows, and they're tomorrow, in tomorrow's portion of Chumash. But this verse is the last one, and it ends, he said, "See, my son's fragrance is already like the fragrance of a field that God has blessed. This indicates that you are fit to receive my blessings." And then the blessings are recorded tomorrow. Not so long, but very long in quality. And Esav then comes, and some more chaos ensues, as we will, God willing, make a video on tomorrow as well. Fridays are pretty hectic days. All right, I'm going to do the rest inside. We finished it. We finished in English the explanation of it. I'm just going to learn it inside quickly, and I'll see you again soon.